deserts, the driest places on Earth, covering more than a fifth of all the world's landmass, as dangerous to life as the highest peak or the coldest glacier. But in these harsh and barren wastelands, nature endures. People have lived in the desert since the beginning of time. Resilient and resourceful, they have developed unique cultures and deep spiritual bonds with these arid lands. But the modern world of commerce and industry is encroaching on the desert, claiming its resources, changing the delicate balance of life. Now, more than ever, desert people must adapt to survive. This series tells their story of struggle and endeavor, of humanity's continuing relationship with the most challenging places on Earth. Jerusalem, a city built at the very edge of the desert. One of the holiest places on Earth, sacred to three faiths. For Jews, Jerusalem is the center of their promised land and of their world. It's where Solomon's temple stood and Herod's temple after it, and where one day many Jews believe a third temple may stand. Jerusalem is also sacred to Muslims. It's from here Muslims believe that Muhammad ascended to heaven. And for Christians, Jerusalem is central to the key events which gave birth to their faith. It's the city where Jesus was tried and crucified and died, and where he rose again. From all over the world, Christians come here to follow their Lord's last journey to his place of execution. On high days and religious holidays, the streets of the old city are a crush of pilgrims seeking to worship and celebrate. But in all the push and shove, it isn't easy to get close to God. That's why so many pilgrimages here also include time spent in the wilderness, which lies just outside the city's walls. The Judean Desert, the desert of the soul. The spiritual significance of the desert is deep and ancient. It runs through all three faiths. For Muslims, the desert is hot, dry, infertile, the very opposite of the perpetual gardens of paradise. Jewish prophets look forward to the desert blooming, to streams in the wilderness. And before beginning his ministry, Jesus himself withdrew to this desert, to solitude and quiet contemplation, to nothing but the absolute essentials of life. Over the centuries, many followed Christ's example. In the cliffs and crannies of the Judean desert, monasteries housed those who felt called to renounce the world to live as far from luxury and distraction as humans can. Even simpler, even more solitary, were the rock caves that became hermits' cells. Today, pilgrims arrive here by the coachload, but their quest is much the same, to reconnect with what really matters.
መጽሐፍ ቅዱስ እንዳነበብነው አሁን ደግሞ በአይናችን እያየው ስለሆነ በጣም ትልቅ ደስታ ነው።
Ruth Sayon is one of a group of Ethiopian Christians who've come today to Qasr al-Yahud, a desert location traditionally regarded as the place where Jesus' ministry began. In Sunday school, Ruth will have learned that Jesus was baptized in the River Jordan immediately before he went into the desert to fast and pray, and to be tempted by the devil. Many Christians believe that this is where the baptism happened. The Bible says that when Jesus rose up from the river, the heavens opened and the Spirit of God came down like a dove, saying, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased." From all over the world, Christians come to be baptized in these same desert waters. Miyaza Yohannes is another of the Ethiopian Christians here today. She's leading the group of pilgrims who've come to follow Jesus' example.
መጠመቅ ማለት ክርስቶስ ኢየሱስ በዮርዳኖስ ባህር ገብቶ እንደተጠመቀና መንፈስ ቅዱስ በኢየሱስ ላይ እንደወረደና ለስራ እንዳሰራው ዛሬም መጠመቅ ማለት ለኛ እዛ ሄደን የኢየሱስ ክርስቶስን ስራ እንድንሰራ ፍጹም ሙላት እንዲኖረን መንፈስ ቅዱስ በኃይል እንዲወርድ ነው። ይሄ ነው ትርጉሙ። አዎ የህይወት መለወጥ ነው ለኔ። ምክንያቱ ይሄንን ነው ማምነው፣ የህይወት መለወጥ ነው።
ኢየሱስ ለዘላለም ጌታ ነው። አሜን። ኢየሱስ ለዘላለም ጌታ ነው።
As the day goes on, more and more pilgrims arrive, keen to experience baptism. The peace and quiet of the desert have melted away. Spiritual fervor is all around instead. But Qasr al-Yahud isn't just a place of religious significance. The river marks the dividing line between two countries, Israel and Jordan. From the far bank, Jordanian soldiers keep a watchful eye. Here, this desert of the soul is also a military zone. All around the baptism site, the signs of past conflict are plain to see. Located at the center of one of the world's religious flashpoints, Qasr al-Yahud has only recently been reopened to pilgrims. Work to build new facilities for them is ongoing, in what is essentially still a militarized zone. Security remains a real worry for the Israeli authorities. But as veteran tour guide Dikram Torassian knows, there's an economic imperative to make sure the desert remains open for business.
Now we dance. We dance the Ethiopian dance with the shoulders. Thank you.
הצליינות הנוצרי הייתה הבסיס של התיירות הישראלית. תמיד היה ותמיד יהיה. רוב התיירים שבאים לארץ הם צליינים. הפתיחה של האתר של קיסר היהוד, כמובן זה יעודד צליינות לארץ, ואני חושב